Papa, can you hear me? No. I promise I'm an adult. All right. We may or may not have cats with us. They're all currently sleeping on the bed together, which is kind of a small miracle. So I'm kind of hoping they don't. Because I like the fact that they're all together on the bed, which they never do. I forget about that. All right, let's see. Shout out. Yay! 14 months, man. I can't believe my channel's that old. Sure. Been doing this for 13 months. I got you guys. I got you guys. I promise. I know. I'm so sorry that I'm like the worst. The actual worst. I haven't silenced my phone. I don't have any slime. We're under the covers with a kitty next to you. I have nothing to listen to at work and I'm ready for this live. It's not quite a cold reaction to the channel that we're gonna watch. Because I've watched about 20 minutes of it. It's a long one, so we won't get all the way through it. But this person has my attention. She also has more followers than me. No, I'm kidding. Please pin. Yes, hang on. Where'd the chat go? I got you. Can't you guys pin? How do I make it so that you guys can pin things? That way I don't have to be an adult. Nope, come back. There we go. Pin message. Right on. If you guys want to join the Discord, Nerfy's Discord, and become a Nerf herder, which is the Discord that I'm on. So if you want to talk with me, I'm on this Discord. I lurk there occasionally. So there you go. Oh, that's funny. I'm the eye of the tiger. I have an older slime. I still have sleep paralysis, but I was gonna bring in Starry Night. I might get up later to go to the bathroom. I've been drinking more water. So warnings. I will need to visit the small child's room. No, that came out completely wrong. The bathroom. I just need to go to the bathroom eventually. All right. Hello, Stevie. Hello, Kim. Hello, Cat Whisperer. Didn't you just join the Discord? Hello, Midori. Hello, Bryn. Hello, Rex the Dragon. Rar means love in dinosaur. Hello, Sandy Toes. Aloha. I hear Hawaii is very nice. Hello, Femme Marie. Hello, Adderall. Hello, AJCD. Sanji. And Emo. 5 months. Hey. Lily and Anna and Alice. Excuse me. Nimbalina. Oh, that's everybody now. Book Duck. That's a great name. Ava Bella. Not My Tail. I think I have my mic turned up a little too high. Oh, yeah. I can hear my mouth noises when I talk. That's a bit high. Hello, Faye. Hello, Bunny Moore. Right. Let me get the rest of my adulting done here. It's a good movie too. Maybe someday we'll watch Hot Fuzz together because that is one of my favorite movies. Favorite movie ever made. No, not you, Hamby. Amber Bam. Amber Bam Bam. 10 things to do instead of doom scrolling. Excuse you, sir. We doom scroll here. Right. Every open time. There we go. All right. Hey. Some of you may know who this is. Some of you do not. I would like you to meet Ida. Everybody say hi. This is Ida. She's somewhere between 2 and 4 years old. She is a rescue kitty by the Beagle Freedom Foundation. So for my half a year of feralness, this is true. Allie is the leader of the feral. Well, you're one of the leaders of the feralness. Ida is not feral. She's a rescue kitty from the Beagle Freedom Foundation project, and we sponsored her for my 8K celebration. And I'm like 150 away from my 10K, so I don't know what I'm going to do for that. She was damn near our 10K. But this is Ida. We sponsored her, and she doesn't live with me. She doesn't live here. I don't know where she's living, but clearly it's someplace with nice floors and looks like nice chairs. So, and I think that's a Chewy box in the background. But yeah, this is the channel's cat for right now. This is Tiny Blue Ida. She used to be a research animal. So she's out of the cage now. Look at her face though. Doesn't she? She just has like the best expression. She just looks so smart and so cute and so happy. She also looks like she's gonna go rule the house now. She is pretty. And I do like a good tabby. Unlike the tabby I have. Chunk. Actually, my cats went to the vet yesterday for their yearly, and everybody's healthy, including the Chunk. The vet was like, well, his weight is stable, so we'll go with that. So as long as his weight stays stable, the vet doesn't care. But my other cat, the little girl cat, my vet told me to put weight on her because she's 8.5-ish pounds, and the vet wants her closer to 9. And I'm like, oh darn, she's gonna be so mad that she gets to eat more. The kitty needs a top hat. I want to find out if we can send Ida stuff, like if there's a P.O. box we can send stuff to Ida for. And I'm also curious what would happen, because I'm assuming she's fostered right now. So what happens when she gets adopted for realsies? Like, are we still sponsoring her? Does the money go to another cat? Do we have to sponsor a whole ass new cat? I mean, it's fine. I just want to know. She is our mascot, Lily. This is Tiny Blue Ida. So she looks like she demands pats at her food served perfectly. I watched a video of a lady who rescued a cat from this project. So she's already rescued an animal, well, a cat. And the cat looked like he was just the sweetest little thing. It was a black cat. They're all roughly the same age. They're all roughly about 2 to 4. And then I think they have several batches of kittens. So the kittens were kittens. So they haven't been aged their entire lives, unlike Ida. And the black cat who I was telling you the story of. So they don't really know how to like cat. So they have, but they're still they were very socialized because they were going to be handled a lot. So they are very socialized. They're very used to humans and they're very friendly. They just don't know how to be cats. So it's not like it's something where you can like release them into the wild. They would not make it for various reasons. So yellow. Oh well, life goes on. All right, so that's Ida. I wanted to introduce everybody to her. I just got done reacting to Amber's most recent Q&A. I don't care what she calls it. It's a Q&A. And we'll get to that. I'll get that edited, but I've got her at the beginning. So, yay. Excuse me. I just got done wolfing down dinner, and this is what you get. Do they have an Amazon wish list? I don't know. If you type in the Beagle Freedom Foundation. You should be able to find them. But I've got an email for her. Again, I'll ask if we can have some contact stuff. I'll tell them what's going on so that they don't think I'm just being a weirdo. She does have this really pretty dark mark here. Hey, Cloak and Cloak. Your cat's from a hoarder house. He doesn't know how to cat either? Yeah. It happens. The kittens I'm not so worried about. Kittens usually get adopted out pretty fast. She's still young. So I love this back foot of hers. Just the way the coloring on the back foot of her. Very cat-like and very spoiled. Just warn them that the audience can be... Yeah. Well, I figure, you know, you're all adults. Most of you are. You know what is and isn't appropriate to send to a cat. It's a cat. There's no people. It's just a cat. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Alice, because I kind of want to send her some stuff. I mean, she's my sponsor cat, and want to... I mean, I'm not going to spoil her the way I spoil my cats, but I don't know. She is adorable. Now, again, she doesn't live with me. Ida doesn't live with me. We're just sponsoring her. The channel is just sponsoring her. So that's... I will never physically see this cat in real life. We do not act like adults sometimes. Sometimes, Ruby. Feral adults. A friend of mine wants to make t-shirts that says Feral Menace on them. I'm like, well, if you got those shirts made, I would wear that shirt. Send her a cat calendar. Chicken wings. Alright. So, this is... I know nothing about this channel. I was searching for Amber's latest video and I just typed in Amberlyn Reed, and since she doesn't post videos very frequently, she's further down in the search results than she should be. Because, I mean, she is Amber Reed. She should be like the first thing that pops up. So, this is a channel called Rachel P. This would be the very first video of hers I've ever watched. Rachel the Python. Well, there's that. She's got 10K subscribers and 106 videos, so she's a newer channel. She joined in like me. She joined in 2013 because we need to know all of this information about her. But she said, she says in this video that she went to school to learn. She's a philosophy. Also has a P in the beginning. She's a philosophy graduate, and her specialty is rhetoric, which would be argumentation. So she's like, I've been taught how to spot a bad argument. So I thought that was kind of interesting, an interesting take on it. But she doesn't really seem to have much cohesion in her videos here, so... Also, she's got a lot of stuff where she's getting piercings. So if you're into piercings... These are from 3 years ago. 5 months ago, she crocheted a triceratops. 3 months ago, she pierced her nose. Book talk review. I don't know who David is. And Amber. Dun dun dun. And that video has 14K views versus the few that she's got here. So, there we are. What are you guys saying? I've seen half of this one. Yeah, I got about 11 minutes into it, and I was like, yeah, this will be nice. And then I was like, I really need to go live because I haven't gone live in a while, so... most of her material isn't about Amber. I think she's talking about Tommy for the most part. You've already watched this twice? Yeah, I wondered how many people would have watched this already. I'm just catching up on things. Let's see. Hello, Zingcat. Oh, Zingcat, your comment on the last most recent video, I think it's the Foodie Beauty video, I actually haven't, like, marked on it because I don't want to lose it because it's a really good comment. And I kind of wanted to take my time reading it. So, there's that. I have seen this one. What is rhetoric exactly? Rhetoric is like the art of talking. Well, you know, we have the internet. I am not a rhetoric person. It's like it's like arguing, only not like, no, you're an ass. No, you're an ass. It's more like actually making an argument. Also, I can't spell, so O-R-I-C. What's the actual definition of rhetoric? It's one of the three ancient arts of discourse, along with grammar and logic dialect. As an academic discipline within the humanities, rhetoric aims to study the techniques that speakers or writers use to inform their audiences. So there, rhetoric. It's something that you should be taught in, like, grade school. You should be learning about rhetoric and grammar, obviously, and logic in grade school. And you should continue to learn about it through high school. And you should be familiar with it by the time you get to college. Because in college, that's where you're going to start using this shit, whether you want to or not. But also, it's going to help you get through life and not have to Google things like, what is a tariff, after you've already voted for the guy who's going to raise all the tariffs. Very Brexit of us. But here we are. There we go. Rhetoric analysis in writing. A rhetorical analysis, we consider whether the writer's arguments are persuasive and why, or not persuasive and why. Yeah, it's breaking down an argument, an actual argument. Again, don't worry, Bug. We really haven't done much. You didn't get to see Ida though. They don't even teach phonics anymore. I'm trying to remember what phonics is. That's the I before E except after a C thing, right? We are indeed a country of shocked Pikachus, yes. Yay. Alright, anyway. So, I do have her sped up to time and a half. I haven't had trouble understanding her, and she's got an accent. I will turn the closed captions on, though. And... not taffy. It's not taffy. Anyway. The argument being presented is, since she said she does this, this is what she does. So we're going to evaluate her argument. Take that. Amberlyn Reed is dating a proven feeder. She is seriously in danger if she doesn't get out of this relationship. Watch me break down the evidence for Tommy being a feeder, work out whether we can blame her or not for Amber's inevitable demise. And take a deep dive into the icky parts of feederism, which make me want to throw up. You know. Oh my god, there's sources. There are several things I could not link here, so please ask if you want a certain source. I feel like no one will, so I'm not going to link everything. However, here is Bestard's study, which is genuinely worth a read. I see what you did there. I don't care if there's like only this one link. There's a sources. I am so excited. You have no idea how happy this thing makes me. Also, to open yourself up to like, hey, if you need a source, I'll send it to you. Because obviously if they're going over something that it falls into the etish area of the internet, you probably can't link it without YouTube losing its shit because YouTube. That's why. Anyway, I think that's kind of nice. So she already gets points for that. All right. I didn't. Oh, I'm gonna guess it's Kim's in here that Nerfy's not live anymore. Because I don't want to have to. If she is, tell her I apologize. I didn't mean to go live the same time she is. Megan 8. Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me. I was watching it and then I realized. I was like, oh yeah, Amber. Actual Amber. You're on a different account, but it means you have subscribed twice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Smoke and Smarmy. Alright, like I said, I got her sped up. The closed captions should be fine. You know what? I don't have the sound set up for her. Nope, that's my mic. That's the other video. That's chat. There we go. Now you can actually hear the video.
Right. Amberlynn Reid thinks that she is living in a love story, but she's not. She's living in a horror story. She
is I do that. I do that. I don't really need to hear my own. Let me know if just type 1 if she's too loud, if the video is too loud.
She herself has victims, but she is also a victim. In this video, I'm going to assess the question: to what extent is Amberlynn Reid an adult who is free to carry on however she pleases?
Oh, I guess I should, because she trigger warninged it. Trigger warning, we're going to talk about mental health, things that happen when you have bad mental health, and several different types of fetishes that may or may not be healthy. So if you're not into that stuff, this is not the video for you. So I hope you all enjoyed Ida. So click off now. And thank you for coming. Completely understandable if some people need to bail.
And at what point are her viewers or her family or her partner, wink wink, supposed to step in and stop her from carrying out behaviours which could result in her death?
Roll up with vanilla ice cream.
And over the next few months, if she does gain weight and suffer adverse health effects from this, to what extent can we blame her new feeder girlfriend? If you don't know who Amberlynn is, I would kind of ask you where the hell you've been. She's a YouTuber famous for starting a weight loss channel when she weighed
368.
Okay, I am going to slow her down again. I can understand her just fine, but no one else will be able to understand her if you so much as speed it up. There we go. You know, I thought I was going to hate this little slider thing, but I actually really like it.
Or something like that.
10 years later, she's still making videos, but she is now over 500 pounds. She is widely hated and ridiculed for good reason. The thing that's interesting, and the reason that I'm making this video now, is that she's just started dating a known feeder. If you don't know what feeder is, it's a person who gains sexual gratification from having a feedee, who is usually their partner, and somebody who they watch gain weight. They will encourage them to eat, they'll bring them food, they'll generally just enjoy their fat body whilst also encouraging them to gain more weight.
Okay, I always have this problem when we start talking about feederism, and the problem is people got kinks is the problem. People got kinks, different strokes for different folks, kind of a thing. There are some kinks that I think are a bit extreme, probably not the healthiest thing to be doing. However, the problem with kinks, or the good thing about kinks, is that you have theoretically consenting adults that are participating in these things, right? That's how it should be, right? That's the perfect world. So I always have a problem talking about this particular thing, and when people get on Sala and they're like, oh my god, he's got a poop kink. I mean, it's not my thing, but I'm not gonna take the guy down just because he's into that. Feederism's one of those where I'm kind of so torn because it's so potentially bad, right? Like one of the goals is to feed the other person into incapacitation. If you can't leave anymore, kind of a thing. But I also know that feederism, like most kinks, is on a spectrum, and I'm not defending it. This is not defense. I'm just explaining it to people. So since it is on a spectrum, there's people on the far end, on this left end, who are, they just like watching people eat, or watching fat people eat, or just in general, they like watching people eating. I don't know who you are, but I mean, people like watching mukbangs. There's like whole ASMR channels of this woman who just films her nose and her mouth, and she eats like all of these really cool looking candies, and that's it. She just eats stuff. Okay, so that's like that end, right? And then you have the other far end where it's, the goal is the end. So, and then you've got everything throughout the middle. My point is, we're not here to kink shame. We're really not. Everybody's got something. But we are here to talk about the point where consent cannot be given. And I think that's the point where that's what a lot of people are thinking of when they think of feederism, is that extreme end goal of you are incapacitated, you can no longer leave of your own volition. I would say that's the point where consent stops, whether you say you're still giving it, because you can't leave. And if you can't get up and leave, you can't really say no, kind of thing, So I hope that was wasn't that awkward of a conversation with Auntie Tiny about the dark side of the adult world. Well, Samgi, she's never been evaluated to not be of sound mind, so when does the kink cross the line into psychopathy? I don't know. I'm not able to make that determination. I just don't want people in the comments section like going to town on various kinks and whatnot, because it's fine if it's not your thing. It's just not your thing. You just walk away from it. You don't have to watch. So if you're watching this video, you have to watch, though. Yeah, and I don't want to throw my one and only mod under the bus, but if you guys have questions, there are people in the chat who are knowledgeable about various aspects of adulthood. So I see people like typoing over here. Yeah, Kismet. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a spectrum. Oh yeah, the Kinks is a band. Good one, Zincat, and I like the Kinks. Anyway. I mean, you can side-eye people. I mean, it's not everybody's thing, right? Anyway.
Wait.
This was the fantasy I had lived for my whole life. I had always wanted a fat girl who got fatter. That's how FAs
This
are.
guy.
They like fat girls. They want to see them grow.
That guy is the one. Well, I think this is like the only feeder, official feeder documentary. Sure. Anyway, so we've all seen this dude, okay, and we've all seen this poor woman. And I'm sorry for the freeze frame, but here we are. This guy is definitely the far end, because when this woman passes away, I think Snowflake said that it was like weeks or months before he was with another woman, and I think she also ends up passing away. And so he then finds a third woman in rapid succession, because it's not about the women for him. He's not in love with the woman. He's in love with the fat rolls. I can't even blame cough syrup at this point. Anyway.
In this case, Gina was allowed to do whatever she wanted, and she knew that the bigger she got, the more I enjoyed it, and I loved watching her eat, and In my case, women, the bigger the better is a good generalization.
Amber Lynn has recently started dating somebody whose name is Emily, but I call them Tommy because that's how they were introduced to me, and the likelihood of me messing up during this video is much lower if I just stick to the one name that I kind of know them as in my head. So we're going to call her Tommy, and I think she's okay with being called that.
I'm kind of the same way. Like, you get one name, so whatever you introduce yourself to me as, probably going to be the thing I'm going to end up calling you at some point. So, the reason I use Tommy is not... Okay, look. The reason I use Tommy is because that is the name Amber has said Tommy wants to be called by. It's not exactly respect for Tommy, it's respect for people who have gone through the effort of having an identity shift of some variety, right? If you come up to me and your name's been Jim for 35 years of your life and now you want to be called Robert, I'm going to call you Robert because that's just respectful, okay? Otherwise, I'm just being a dick. If I know you don't want to be called Jim and I'm still walking around calling you Jim, you know? So it's not really respect to Tommy, but Tommy falls into that category and I respect other people in that category. So by default, Tommy's going to get that level of respect because that's just how I operate. So I know some of you really don't like calling Tommy Tommy for various reasons, but that's just how we're going to do it here. And that's how she's going to end up doing it because, again, you get one name. So here we go.
July 26, 2024, Kiwi Tapes tweeted, "Breaking news. Amber Lynn Reid's new girlfriend, Tommy the Shlommy, is a confirmed feeder with already 1 kill. Just this April, Tommy's over £1,000 girlfriend died from complications due to weight. Amber won't survive if she stays in this relationship." This topic, to me, is absolutely fascinating. What sparked me to make this video was a clip that I saw of Amber where she's explaining how she can't get into her girlfriend's truck.
We had to get me this like step thingy because her truck is so tall. So getting into it is a challenge.
She claims that this is because the truck is so high, but it's kind of clear to anyone watching that it's not so much the truck being high as it is Amber being huge. I pictured her girlfriend.
That little part is incredibly important, and Rachel here either didn't clock it or just didn't want to talk about it. Either way, watching Amber struggle to get into the car, the truck, that's a feeder thing. Some of them like watching. I'm going to sound like a really mean dick because there's no other way to talk about these people. They like watching obese and fat people struggle to do everyday things like get up out of a chair, get into the car, walk. I know it sounds weird, but they like seeing that struggle. So this thing with Amber and the step stool. Yeah, the step stool probably is because, short girl problems. I will give her that. And it also is probably because Amber's probably close to 600 pounds now. But her getting into that vehicle was also a thing. Part of the kink. Anyway.
Tommy, who is a technically kind of attractive masked lesbian, which are something of a worshipped breed on the internet, let's be honest, who drives this truck and has this good job. This is somebody who makes Amber feel good about herself, somebody who Amber thinks that she's in love with.
Home isn't a building. It's not a place with walls. It's like a person. Like Tommy makes me feel like I have finally found home. I feel like I'm home whenever I'm around her.
This person causes Amber's brain to release dopamine and give her feelings of attachment and connection. Amber is experiencing all of these things, but Tommy, her partner, just sees her as a lump. There is something so horrifying about watching this situation play out, knowing that Amber believes that she's in a fairy tale, when really Tommy is harbouring a secret, or not so secret, lust to watch her gain weight, even up to £1,000. What I'm not going to do in this video is defend Amber's past actions, but I am going to ask some big-ish questions and try to offer some somewhat nuanced big-ish answers about what the heck is really going on between Amber and Tommy, and to what extent we should all be worrying. I will preface this entire video by calmly and actively stating, I know Amber Lynn Reid is a crappy person. This video is not about her being a crappy person, but I'm also not going to push that fact to one side. I'm going to kind of take this fact about Amber, that she's a crappy person, and hold it in my mind, knowing that this is true of the person I'm talking about whilst I talk about her.
This is something that I think everybody needs to learn how to do, because I'm not slamming people. I just know people have a hard time. You can hold two opposing thoughts or concepts in your mind at the same time and not be biased towards any of them, right? I can say the same thing here. Amber's a shit person. But we're not talking about that part, right? We're talking about a different concept. Like when I talk about her past childhood things, and I'm like, she's my informant. Amber's my informant in that situation. So I have to go with what the informant is telling me. Now, don't get me wrong, I take everything with a grain of salt, but that's the point. I'm holding the fact that she is a shit person and a liar separate from the actual thing that we're actually talking about. And that's what's going to happen here. So I don't want people going over to Rachel's video and getting in the comment section and being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're defending Amber." She's not defending Amber. We are discussing two concepts at the same time. Amber is shit, but that's not the topic. Anyway, I just saw that. Who did that? Oh, thanks, Smug. All right. So we got Idiot Witch, Femme Marie, Sandy Toes, Catherine Smith, and Jumper. Welcome to the Hidden Turns. Mwah. Thank you for that, Smug. That was really nice of you. And there was a comment in there. All right. There we go. Yeah, we can't do black and white, back on topic here. This isn't a video about black and white thinking. So if you're a black and white thinker, I challenge you to watch and try to do this exercise of holding conflicting viewpoints in your head at the same time. It's something you can do.
I've been watching Amber Lynn Reid since maybe 2018, which feels like not very long ago, but in actuality 2018 was, oh my god, 6 years ago, which makes me feel old. It wasn't so much of a hate watch, it was more of a fascination watch. I couldn't really believe that somebody who had started out their channel with such a simple, clear goal, which was to lose weight, had failed so dramatically, and not only had failed so badly.
Four paws in a book joined membership. Welcome to the interns. 4 paws in a book. Mwahaha. What's the book? What are you reading? You got 4 paws, but what's the book that you're reading? Come back.
But seemed to have not even really tried. I've never seen somebody try to lose weight so hard and yet somehow not actually try at all. We all know that weight loss is a numbers game. I've done it myself. It's calories in versus calories out. In the 10 years Amber's spent on YouTube, she could have made a huge dent. She could have completely overhauled her life, and yet somehow she hasn't. As a viewer, there is something kind of fascinating about watching somebody fall from grace so badly and fail so badly at a goal which seemed at the time relatively achievable. I have interacted with her content over the years by watching Amber herself, but I have also watched lots of reaction channels like Obese to Beast, Mr. Snowflake, Megan Ann. If you want to know about the depths.
What about me? This video's from November 13th. What about me? I did in Amber's video that I'm gonna post hopefully tomorrow, but I'm gonna stop posting videos on Friday, and I'll explain why later. Someone remind me. Anyway, are there reaction channels that are big like how Zachary Michael and Alex Shook and Jordy and, well, Snowflake now? Are there that size of a reaction channel that reacts to Girl World that are female led, like Anne Marie here? Holy crap. 186 bucks. Cool. I think I'm at 20. Maybe. Cody Kelso. Oh, thank you, Jody. That's Jody. Sorry. You guys are funny. But I just wondered if there were some large channels that are Girl World reaction channels, because I can't, with the exception of Karina, I can't think of any. And I figure if you guys give me some like tips, I'll go give them a watch. So I'm not a big channel though, Megan.
Of the things that Amber's done. I recommend all of those people's channels. I particularly recommend Megan Ann's video, which is called Amber Lynn Reid, A History Lesson. I'll link it in the description. It's a great way to get an overarching idea of what Amber has done and why she's so widely disliked. At best, Amber Lynn is a mentally...
I've seen that video. It's a good video. Go watch it.
Ill victim of severe childhood trauma who hasn't been able to shake the effects of this in her adult life and has carried out pretty awful patterns of behaviour which have had detrimental effects on all of her partners. At worst, she is an evil narcissistic liar who manipulates her fan base and abuses her animals. I'll let you make your own decision on that, but I didn't want to make a video about this person without very clearly stating right at the beginning, I know she's a crappy person. I've been there, I've watched all the videos, I know what she's done. Sorry if that tap on the boom there just messed with the audio. Also, my laptop's making sounds like it wants to take off. If you can hear that, I really hope you can't, but if you can hear the sound of my laptop trying to take off, I'm so sorry. I've tried to film this video now so many times, I'm running out of patience. So when it kicks off its bloody engine and starts making that noise, I can't stop filming every time. I'm so sorry. Also, I recently discovered that Amber Lynn Reed's favourite drink is Dr. Pepper Zero, which is my favourite drink, which was really quite horrifying to discover, and I am triggered, I'm not gonna lie.
I don't have a particular favorite. Well, okay, I have a favorite soda, but not like, oh my god, I can't resist it. And it's the Dr. Pepper cream soda combo. I know you all care. She just mentioned Dr. Pepper.
I like to think that our similarities begin and end there, but I am also a little fatty, so maybe we've got more similarities than I want to admit. A lot of videos about Amber.
Oh yeah, Chikara. But she's not like a dedicated reaction. Well, she is a dedicated reaction channel, I guess. But according to some, she's a documentary channel, like Michelle McDaniels, who is also a reaction channel, but she does a bunch of other stuff now too.
Amber Lynn Reed start off by saying if you were to just approach her channel out of the blue and start watching her, if you click down to the comments, you would be really confused because all of these people seem to hate this woman, and it doesn't seem immediately clear what the reason is, but there are reasons why people dislike Amber, and they are very convincing. I found a post on Reddit in r/ED, which stands for Eating Disorder Anonymous, where somebody posted, does anyone feel bad for Amber Lynn Reed? The comments under this video are varied. Somebody said, I straight up can't feel bad for Amber, just because of all the horrendous things she's done, and her nasty personality. I do, however, experience slight pity towards the fact that we're watching what's most likely her final years. The comment starts by claiming to feel no pity for her, but it then goes on to admit that no, it actually does feel a little bit of pity, and this person can see that we are potentially watching Amber's final days.
The whole final days thing. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I really don't. I don't know about that one. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna smear my makeup. So, I don't know about that one. I think people are maybe overreacting just a tiny bit. But, I mean, she's not gonna lose weight. She does have health complications that she just ignores. So, I mean, it's not like she's getting better. You know, her and Foodie, I guess that's my thing. Like, I don't know. In the race to the grave, I think Foodie's like in the lead right now. I don't think Amber's sped up the process any just because she's moved in with Tommy. I can be very wrong. I can be. I just hope I'm not, because I don't wish that on Amber. You think the thing is that the likelihood of her being final days has increased exponentially with Tommy? I mean, going back to the consenting adults thing, I mean, we're never gonna get through this video. Hey, Midori, you're back! Yay! Yeah, Allie, we are closer to Foodie's final days than Amber's, but
This is the thing that I found so interesting about Tommy coming into Amber's life. Even Mr. Snowflake, who's been making videos on Amber for several years and knows how bad of a person she is, admits that even he has lost that little bit of sympathy that he did feel for her. In his video, Emily just keeps getting worse. He says,
I think I was wrong to have any sympathy. It wasn't quite, was it sympathy? It was something. It was another human being, I guess. I didn't want to be fattened up and killed, which is fine to think now that I say it out loud. That's fine to think. But I don't think Amber deserves any sympathy from me. She still might have some from other people, but that 1% bit of sympathy I had, I think it's gone now, because I think no matter what she learns, what Amber learns about Emily, she's going to stay with her.
Another person who commented on the Reddit thread that I've just mentioned commented, I find it kind of hard to feel sorry for her, knowing that she'll drive past an emergency vet when her pet is supposedly shaking in pain just to go to Cheesecake Factory, and knowing she's been doing this for years. If I'm ever in the grips of an illness bad enough to do that to my pet that I call my child, God strike me dead on the spot, seriously. I'll do any kinds of fucked up fucked up shit to myself, but to somebody else, I can't get past it. We know that Amber has done terrible, terrible things. This is a given. Like I've said, we're going to kind of hold those things in our head. The other person we need to discuss is Tommy. Now, Tommy is Amber Lynn Reed's new girlfriend, as I've mentioned, and she's recently been exposed for being a feeder.
Okay, we were also discussing this in the Discord, which there's a link to, by the way, at the top of the chat. We were talking about if people were attractive or not. Kind of. Tommy actually, I actually think Tommy's kind of attractive. That's kind of one of my things that I like when I look for people, is that particular kind of mask femme. But everything else that's attached to Tommy, all the other problems with Tommy, are like, make Tommy unattractive to me, if that makes sense. But like, I can say aesthetically Tommy falls into the attractive person zone, right? Even dressing the way that she does right now. Like, if Tommy decided to grow her hair out and start wearing makeup and put a dress on, she would probably be very attractive as well. Anyway.
I am going to show you the things I've seen which convince me that Tommy is a feeder. I haven't just kind of like accepted this from 1 or 2 videos I've seen. I've got some evidence and I am going to share it with you. So who is Tommy? Tommy is Amber Lynn's new girlfriend. She actually reached out to Amber in June of this year, so they met online. Tommy had previously spoken to other overweight women. Amber is by no means the first large woman who Tommy has dated. There's a couple of things that you need to know about Tommy for this story. The first thing is that Tommy was engaged to a very large woman who was over 1,000 pounds. Her name was Colleen, and Tommy seemed extremely happy with Colleen. There are lots of pictures of Tommy enjoying Colleen's fat body and kind of embracing her curves and generally worshipping her body. Colleen is now dead. She died of obesity-related disease, and we know that as a fact. Tommy actually spoke at her funeral. She said,
"There's a type of love that you don't know until you actually feel it when you experience it."
One thing that Mr. Snowflake noted, which is quite strange, is that Tommy said this at Colleen's funeral, but she also commented it on a picture underneath herself and Amber on Instagram. All credit goes to Mr. Snowflake for noting this, but in a post on the 7th of October of this year, somebody comments on one of Tommy's Instagram posts with Amber saying, "I don't know what love feels like, can you explain to me how it feels?" And Tommy says, "It's something you don't really know what it feels like until you experience it. You'll know when it happens, and it's the best feeling ever."
The cake enthusiast person, who's the one that started off the conversation, was totally baiting people, by the way. Anyway, my thing about the double use of the same phrase, Amber does it too. We're just used to it, so we don't clock it anymore. Amber uses the same words, the same ideas as with each relationship, right? It's not surprising to me that Tommy does the same thing, because I think Amber attracts other, I'm not diagnosing her, other self-centered people. Starts with an N. So it's not surprising to me that Tommy has like a game, if you will. She has rhetoric that she uses, and that's what she sticks to, because, you know, this works, kind of a thing.
I don't want to get too bogged down
Yay,
in this,
Andrea's
but it
back.
is very, very strange and very, very telling that Tommy used exactly the same wording in her dead fiancé's eulogy as she did in a comment about Amber. The most important thing that we need to ascertain here is whether Tommy is a feeder or not. We need to know. If she is, we need to know. If she isn't, we need to know. I am convinced that she is. Just to give you some background on me, if you've not seen my videos before, I have a philosophy degree, and my degree is literally how to not be convinced by crappy arguments. So
I want to see I want to see your diploma, and it better have that literally written on it. Hey, it's fine if people don't agree with me. It's completely fine. Narwhals. I see you, chicken. Adderall says Amber does it too, but it's a tad more egregious for Tommy since her partner died. Well, This is one of those moments where you can see that I'm hitting a wall, because I react to things much differently than normal people do. So I'm going to take your word on it that makes it more egregious, because it doesn't even clock for me, honestly. But yeah, what comment says Tommy knows Amber's insecurities and So she's easy prey, and so Tommy uses these techniques because they work.
I am convinced by this argument that Tommy's a feeder. And because of the kind of person I am, I can't just watch a video where somebody says something and then go,
Hey,
yeah,
Molly.
that's true, I'll take that as fact. I personally need it to be proven to me, at least in some way. So I'm now going to lay down the argument for you that Tommy is a feeder. These are the things I've seen, which I found very convincing, and the reason that I do believe Tommy is definitely a feeder. The first kind of most damning piece of evidence...
Before she even goes into it, you don't have to convince me Tommy's a feeder. I'm 100% there, man. I was doing my own Google search, and the first thing that pops up for Tommy is the Feedly website, or the Feedy website. Feedly is a different thing. And I clicked on it, and I figured out that it's a fetish website, and I was like, all right, well, I mean, there's one of two reasons that you're on here. You're either here because you want to be, or you're here because you're curious, and you forgot to delete your account. And it was an active account, so...
is that there are photos of Tommy and Colleen, who is her late fiance, engaging in feederism behaviour on the internet. There are photos and various kinds of posts. There is also lots of evidence of Tommy following lots of overweight women on Instagram. Those things alone do kind of prove that Tommy is a feeder. However, if you need more evidence, which I personally did, because Amber Lynn actually rebutted this by saying that Tommy and Colleen needed to make money. Amber said that Tommy and Colleen were dating, they were in a long-distance relationship, and they couldn't afford all of the travel. So what they did...
This is the dumbest excuse. I don't think Tommy actually came up with this. I think Amber came up with this because this is the dumbest excuse for this. There are a million other things I could probably sit here and come up with, but I needed the money to travel. It's like I sold feet pics, but but they're not feet pics, and I'm not gonna die if someone doesn't like my feet, I guess. I don't know. BB, yeah, it's a forum board to allow advertising for people who like that kind of thing. I'm just catching up on the chat real fast. Yeah, this is just the dumbest... I'm sorry, it's just a dumbass excuse. Because Tommy has a job, had a job. She may not be making, like, rolling in the dough, but I'm pretty sure she probably makes enough to buy a round-trip air ticket every now and then.
It was produce feederism content so that they could monetize it on the internet, so they could afford to see each other. Sounds kind of convincing, except that it's not, but we're going to get into
that. Is not convincing to me at all.
That in a second. The first thing is that we've seen evidence of Tommy having a type. Lots of people have types. I personally like a soft mask lesbian with emotional vulnerability and the ability to hold down a proper job, but hey, that's just me.
There you go.
Tommy has made it frightfully clear that her type is big women, but not just big women.
Like
Tommy's late
big.
fiance was over
I like
1,100
'em
pounds. We're talking over a ton of one person. The downsides of dating a person of this size are so
It's happening.
astronomical. You're not going to date that person in spite of their weight. If you're dating somebody of that size, it's more than likely because of their weight rather than in spite of their weight. Another thing that I found extremely convincing is how quickly Tommy moved on from her partner. Tommy can be seen at her fiance's funeral claiming to be heartbroken that her partner is dead, but not 2 months later she's already messaging Amber Lynn.
Here's the thing also with the timeline, and Amber effed this one up for herself. Amber said that Tommy had been talking to other people before she had talked to Amber. So timeline-wise, it's entirely possible that Tommy was talking to other women whilst being with the fiance. So, oh, this is Rachel. The channel's called Rachel P. I guess the P stands for Python. I don't know why she didn't type it out. Maybe there's already Rachel the Python and she can't have it. But so far I'm really enjoying the video, but here we go.
And before Amber Lynn, she was already messaging other women as well. I have never lost a partner, thank God, so I can't really comment on how long it would take somebody to get over the death of their fiance. However, I do think that 2 months is a suspicious amount of time when that fact is taken in conjunction with all of the other things that we know about Tommy. Yes, it is possible that your fiance dies and then you're out in the wild 2 months later and you happen to meet the love of your life and you can't help it. But
yes, chicken. It will be read at ALR's memorial as well.
but it is more than likely to happen naturally, and it would be an anomaly or something of an outlier. It's not the standard experience. The fact is that Emily didn't catch Amber's gaze in the aisles of Walmart and suddenly fall head over heels in love. No, she seeked her out online on purpose, and she was not the first person who Emily did this to. A comment underneath the Mr. Snowflake video says, Emily's partner died in May, 4 months ago. I just can't. And when you deep it, and like really think about it, it is kind of terrifying. Sure, it's possible that Tommy was just grieving strangely, but there's another reason why this isn't very convincing. And that is because, like I've just said, it is classic feeder behavior to move from partner to partner.
My first wife.
Yep. Talking about this guy. I beat you to it, Rachel. I beat you to it.
We broke up because of her great weight loss. She had lost over 125 pounds at Weight Watchers and became one of the Weight Watchers counselors and was really involved with it. And after a time, I wasn't happy with her being skinny, and she was never going to be happy being fat. So we did break up then. And I believe Gina may have thought that, if I'm going to keep this guy, I can't lose weight.
A comment from somebody called TigerLily93, which I found on a feederism website, says, I've been fortunate enough to help 3 people so far reach their goal of immobility. 2 of my feedies decided.
I'm gonna read this to you guys because I need to hear it myself. Caring for the immobile death feedie. Holy shit. Okay, so this is where it stops being consensual. Fuck me. Anyway, I have been fortunate enough to help 3 people so far reach their goal of immobility. 2 of my feedies decided to move into nursing homes after becoming immobile. Oh my god. And the other feedie I fed until the day he no longer existed. Let the questions begin. There are too many. How do you do this? How do you brag about this? That's so horrible. It's just horrible. Sorry, I'm at a loss.
Decided to move into nursing homes after becoming immobile, and the other I fed until the day he died. This is just one example, but I can promise you from the research I've done, this example is not alone. All of my sources are linked in the description, by the way, if you want to know how I'm so confident in my opinions. The fact of the matter is, feeders will jump from victim to victim. They're not bothered who they're feeding as long as they've got someone. When they're done getting their kicks out of one person, they simply move on to the next one. This is the feeder modus operandi. That is a phrase I only know because my hot as fuck girlfriend taught me during her degree. Anyway, these feeders enjoy the process of fattening their feedie up, watching them get so big that they become immobile.
These are the beginning photos. Gina was about 500 pounds when we first started taking the nude ones. Most of the photographs were taken to capture different angles, different views, different basic fantasies. Having her bend over in front of the camera so I could see her tush, hold her boobs, show how much trouble she has trying to hold her own boobs.
Yeah, Lily, it's yeah. Well, a cat whisperer. We can't diagnose because reasons. I don't really know if it's psychopathy though. It might be. I'm not entirely like those things have definitions, and I'm not entirely sure if this falls into it. Because yeah. Anyway. Yeah, what Tammy said. I can see that there's a bit of a lag when it comes to the chat. It is. It's past. It's beyond. Okay, it's still kink. It's still their kink, but well, it's not a kink at this point. I think it's a fetish at this point. Yeah, I think that's where we're going with this one. It's moved out of the realm of kink because she can't give consent anymore. But, I mean, she can. She's still an adult who, she's still an adult with her mental capacity, but I think at this point it's moved out of that realm and into just, straight kink at that point. It is at minimum a form of psychopathy. Yeah, there's a difference between psychopathy and sociopaths. So no, I'm not saying this isn't sick. Yeah, harm the other party permanently. Yeah.
That's a nice thought of how big she really is. It's a great fantasy thing to see how big she really is.
Tell them about the progression of using the same shot in different weights to show a growth.
We did repeat the same poses over and over so that I could see the growth. I actually wrote on the photos her weight as I could estimate it.
And then the person either decides they can't stand it and wants to lose weight, at which point the feeder breaks up with them and moves on to somebody else, or the person dies. The scary thing is that Tommy has done this. Tommy already has one deceased partner. This person was over £1,000. She got over that partner in absolutely record time and moved on to Anne Boleyn. She clearly didn't love her partner as much as she claimed to, because she was immediately moving on to somebody else and using the same words to talk about her new partner as she did about her previous partner. And we have evidence that she has a history of being interested in larger women. As well as that, we have evidence that she's been active in feeder communities. So all of these things brought together into one neat little parcel, in my opinion, makes it very convincing that Tommy is a feeder. I did touch earlier on the fact that Anne Boleyn claimed that Tommy and Colleen only carried out this feederism behaviour because they needed to make money.
Tommy is not a feeder at all. And I got permission to share like why certain photos were online. When Tommy was with her late fiance, they were long distance and they wanted to see each other more often. And to do so...
Hang on, guys. I'll be right back. I smell smoke and I need to know where it's coming from. It's the neighbors. They're having a cookout. Thank God. I was like, what did I'm pretty sure I turned the stove off. Alright. I just wanna... I just want to like point everybody to the 600-pound, my 600-pound life episode where I forget the guy's name. I think it was Mike. Anyway, he was immobile, and he was, well, I mean, he's on 600-pound life, so supposedly he's trying to lose weight. And Dr. Now, for whatever reason, zeroed in on the wife and decided that she was feeding this guy in a harmful way. And he tried to get the guy away from her. And of course, dude's not going to leave his wife. And then he tried to call some kind of department that would have stepped in if there had been some form of like inability on his end. But even that department was like, he's an adult and there's nothing wrong with his ability to reason, therefore we can't step in. There's nothing for us to do. So, and inevitably the guy passed away from obviously obesity. So oh, Lily, thank you. James King and Lisa, the fiance. Oh, they weren't married. I just knew he wouldn't give up. He did die. He did. Yes, he did. Because Kim, one of those is an accepted form of life here in the States, and the other one, I don't know. Something and something, something, the Bible, something, something, God. Anyway. Onward.
They found a way to like make money.
I'm just going to go now into why we know that that's not true. It would seem convincing, but it's not. Mr. Snowflake, who makes extensive videos on Anne Boleyn, revealed in one of his videos a bunch of screenshots, which I am going to show here, but I did get them from Mr. Snowflake's video, so I do recommend going to watch Mr. Snowflake's video. In his video, Mr. Snowflake shows screenshots from Tommy and Colleen where they're reading comments on one of these feederism threads that they used to post on, and one of the comments made by Colleen says, "Guys, if I did an OF, I'd have taxes on anything over $600 and I'd likely lose my benefits, which I had to fight like hell to get. I just can't do that. I'm not comfortable asking somebody else to put it in their name either. Willow, who is Tommy, and I have talked about some things, but ultimately I can't risk my healthcare or other benefits." That comment alone shows that Amber is wrong. Whether she's been lied to or manipulated, she's wrong. It's definitely not true that Tommy only engaged in these behaviours to make money, and the evidence points to her being a feeder. So now we hold two truths in our mind. One, Anne Boleyn Reid is a very bad person, and everything that comes with that. The other is that Tommy is a known, proven feeder. We now know that these two things are facts, and we can kind of hold them in our mind and move forward with my next points. So we know that Anne Boleyn is a crappy person, but to what extent does that mean that she deserves to suffer at the hands of a feeder? And to what extent is she a consenting adult who's free to do whatever she wants? I'm going to tackle both of these questions now. The first...
Okay. This is going to be interesting because this is the hard part. He was sneaking food into the hospital even when they tried... Oh, you guys are still talking about James King. Oh, yeah, my emotional support putty. This is the sleep paralysis from OG Slimes. Where I'm still shocked at this, guys. Sometimes I just get loss of words.
First one is, to what extent is Amber a consenting adult? This is kind of tricky. In a way, I want to argue that Amber is as free as any other adult to do any self-destructive behaviour, be it smoking, drinking, drugs, weight gain, whatever she wants to do. It's kind of her choice. Amber is technically not directly hurting anyone but herself, and it would be convincing to argue that she's free to do as she pleases. I know that there are wide societal effects of obesity, and Amber also has her own particular brand of influence, and her choices definitely do have effects on others. But in terms of causing direct, clear damage to other people because of what she eats, I would argue that Anne Boleyn kind of doesn't. I am very much a believer in every adult's own right to do what they want. You're a free agent in your life. You can eat or not eat, or do or not do whatever you please, with the very clear caveat that you're not harming anyone else. Another example, which I find quite interesting, is the YouTuber Eugenia Cooney. For all of their physical differences, Amber and Eugenia, in my opinion, are actually very similar. If you don't know who Eugenia Cooney is, she is a YouTuber who exists in a starved body. Both women post content where they show that...
I am constantly amazed that Eugenie Clooney is still with us. I just am stunned every time I see her. I don't watch her because she reminds me too much of things that happened during wars.
Their grossly unhealthy body. Would I feel that I have a responsibility to stick my oar in and do something about Eugenia's situation? Well, to be honest, maybe yes. Maybe I do feel that somebody should force Eugenia to go into a program and physically override her own consent and force her to seek help because she looks like she's on death's door. However, Amber is also on death's door. So why is it that I don't feel that Amber should be forced to stop eating, and yet I do believe that Eugenia should be forced to eat? I just think it's interesting how...
I'm going to say something that's probably unpopular. Eugenia can do this to herself if she wants. There's no reason for people outside to get involved. This is Eugenia's choice. Same thing with Amber. This is where things get dicey, because I know there are a lot of people that don't agree with Eugenia's way of living or Amber's way of living, but this is what they're choosing to do with their time on the planet, right? And as long as they are able to make their own decisions cognitively, anyway, as long as they're able to make their own decisions, there's nothing we can really do about it. And that's the thing. Like, no, I don't agree with this. Agree with it. No, I wouldn't want to do this. No, I wouldn't want to look like that, either of them. I don't want to live this way. I can only think of the negatives when I see the two of them. But this is the choice they made. They made this choice for themselves, and there's really nothing we can or really should do. If they want to do this to the end, they're not hurting anyone else. And that's the part, the crux of this. It's not like, it's not even like they have family, like children that are dependent on them, you know, thank God. But as long as it's just them. So anyway, unpopular opinion.
My personal feelings towards these two women can be so different, even though really the question is the same. Can we override somebody else's consent in order to keep them safe? The main thing I'm trying to land on is that we as individuals do not really have the rights to tell somebody else how to take care of themselves. We are free. We are so free that we're actually free to harm ourselves should we so choose. If a person gives their consent to carry out a behaviour which hurts them, there's kind of nothing that we can really do or say. We can safely park this point here though, because there is a massive difference between Amber and Eugenia, and there is a huge factor at play for Amber.
Okay, before she gets to that, I don't want to ignore this one. I think that assisting in feeding to this extent should be punished, though. If action leads to somebody inevitable demise, this should be something that is looked into. Yes, but this is the problem that Dr. Now ran into with James King. He's the one that puts the food in his mouth, right? She can bring him the food all day. I'm not saying I agree with this, okay? She can bring him the food all day long, but he's the one that puts the food in his mouth, right? And that's the problem. Sorry, I'm fidgety. He still has enough agency that he could say, no, I don't want to eat this. And I mean, then we have a problem if she comes over and starts force feeding him. That, you know, that's an issue. That could possibly be assault in some way. But Eugenia chooses not to eat. Amber chooses to put anything that's not nailed down into her mouth. Is Tommy assisting in this? I think it really depends on how you look at this kind of thing. But yes, I guess we could argue that Tommy is assisting in this behavior. However, at any point right now, Amber can say, no, I don't want to do that. And if Tommy pushes the point past that, that's when we have an issue. But until that happens, you know, this is, on the one hand, this is a difficult one to watch, but on the other hand, I like this video, and I like that we're watching it together. Because A, it makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me really have to think about things. And B, I think this is a really good topic, especially right now, because there is a lot of opinions that conflict within the community here. There are people who are like, whatever, and then there are people who are like, no, she should be in jail, right? And I think this is a really important conversation for the community to have. Not that we're all going to come to some agreement, that's because we're people and that's not going to happen. But it does show that there is some deep thinking into this topic, because we're talking about Amber's agency as a human here. Whether we agree with what she's choosing to do or not isn't the point. In the end, she is the one doing the thing and choosing to do it. So, all right. Well, that's the thing, though, K-Buns, because I read your comment. Even in situations such as, like, domestic abuse, you know, they can't do anything unless whoever's the abusee, unless that person says, hey, I need help. And then we can discuss what happens after that point in another time. But nobody can step in until that happens. You can go to them and you can be like, hey, this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing it. And, you know, he's a dick. He's doing that. I'm just assuming it's a guy. I shouldn't. You know, your partner's doing this. Your partner's doing that. This isn't bad. You're being abused. Like, we can do that. And people tried to do that for Amber. People are still trying to do it for Amber, right? But in that situation, especially since there's no one else involved, it's just the two adults. You know, there's nothing for someone to legally be able to step in and do anything about. So, again, you don't have to agree with it. You really don't. With you know, their chosen paths in life, you don't have to agree with it. But this is how society is structured right now, and you know, the alternative to this is taking away people's autonomy. So when you're rallying against the idea of Amber and Tommy being able to do this shit, you have to understand the alternative is everybody loses this right, because it's not just going to affect just people like Tommy. It's going to affect everybody. This is why freedom of speech conversations are difficult as well. No, I don't agree with what you have to say, but I don't want to lose my right to talk, to speak. So I'm going to have to defend yours. Good. Two concepts, two opposing concepts, right? You got to have them both there. And you have to think further ahead than, I don't like Tommy. Tommy's partners die because Tommy helps them eat, and then they die because they're obese. Yeah. But the alternative is losing autonomy.
Which we absolutely have to address, and that factor is Tommy. It
No,
doesn't
Evie, you're not at the end.
what Amber herself chooses to do, because that is her own decision. Tommy, however, is another story. Amber might be free to eat what she wants. The question we should really be asking ourselves is it okay for Tommy to stand beside somebody and watch them make awful choices for their health, and not only refuse to stop it, but actually encourage them, and not only encourage them, but actually gain sexual gratification from watching this occur? Just a quick comment back to the Eugenia Cooney thing. I think the main difference here is the proximity. So yes, perhaps it's not my job to tell Amber what she should or shouldn't eat. Perhaps it's not my job to tell Eugenia what she should or shouldn't eat. But I think it is Eugenia's mum's job, or Eugenia's friend's job, or Eugenia's doctor's job. And that is because these people are close and present. So if close, present people have a responsibility for the health and well-being of those around them, doesn't Tommy have a genuine moral duty of care to Amber? I would argue, yes, she absolutely does. Amber.
I would like to point to, was this in Snowflake's video? I don't remember where I saw this bit. Eugenia went into care. She was committed at least once. And the way that it happened, I don't know all the details. So I don't remember where I saw this. Follow me this way, though. The way that it happened was one of her now ex-friends somehow convinced her to go in, and I think it was involuntary in some way, but she was only there for like 2 weeks, something like that. And when she got out, she just went right back to what she was doing. So even if we were to force people to go and get treatment and, you know, going to make you better so you're like everyone else, it's as soon as they have agency again, they're just going to go back to doing what they're doing, because they don't see how they don't think it's wrong, right? So they're not going to change until they've decided that they don't want to do it anymore. Yeah, okay, a couple of you are also talking about the intervention.
Should be free to make her own decisions about her own life, but that's not the same as saying that she should be influenced and encouraged to make those decisions by another bystanding person. A heavily researched 188-page master's thesis submitted by Alicia D. Bestard to the University of Waterloo gives us a huge amount of insight. Alicia did a study on feeders. She did interviews. She really got to the heart of what these deaf feeders are thinking. I'll link her study below. I'm going to mention it a lot throughout this video, so if I just say the study, I'm talking about Alicia D. Bestard's study. In her work,
I am here for this. OMG, I am here for this. Talk nerdy to me, Rachel.
She writes, Respondents who may be considered immobilizers deny responsibility by claiming that their gaining partners are not victims but are consenting adults in charge of their own fate. This was a common theme for all 3 respondents. They attempted to make it very clear to me that they are not to be held responsible for their partner's fate because their partner is a consenting participant. But these feeders who are in Bestard's study also report extreme sexual gratification at watching their partners become dependent on them. It's this dependence which causes what I believe is the most damaging part of the feeder-feedee relationship, and that is the skewed power dynamic. Sure, Amber is free to eat and do as she pleases, but Tommy is going to start encouraging her to eat more. It'll be, just eat one more slice of cake, babe, or just have another portion of fries, or hey, hun, I bought you this pecan pie. That made me laugh, I don't know why. But it's just that the way manipulators do, bit by bit, slowly by slowly, they just creep into your mind and start to place their ideas in your head. Amber, being the insecure victim of childhood abuse that she is, who suffers with severe mental health issues, is going to struggle in the face of such clear abuse. She will be absolutely at the mercy of her more attractive enabler, killer partner who she's so dependent on. And
I see the argument. I really do. I really do. I really see the argument being made. I do. And several of you have also made the argument, so it's not like she came up with this on her own. I mean, she did, but anyway. That's the problem. So now we're talking about coercion, and we're talking about the loss of agency through coercion or manipulation by the other partner, that being Tommy at this point. And more than one person has said, you know, Amber's just going to fall for this because Tommy's going to manipulate her. Tommy's not going to have to work too hard to manipulate Amber into overeating, because one of the things that I've pointed out... sorry, guys, let me take this call real fast. Sorry, my vet called. My veterinarian called. And that's why I had to answer it, because my animals. But everybody's fine. She was just calling with their test results from their blood sample. So, incline my phone to me. I have it on speaker because I'm deaf. Anyway. So, sorry about that, but had to happen. Everybody's fine. She'll call me back tomorrow. Rain in the feral. Amber was just as manipulative to Beck, making that come back. Making them get her food. She just described driver. Yeah, so that was kind of where I was trying to get to that point. Somebody else said something too. I'll get to it. Amber, in my opinion, Amber's been self-feeding herself for years at this point. You know how I'm always pointing out that she's like eye-banging herself when she puts that first bite of food into her mouth? She's watching herself eat. So I don't think Tommy has to work too hard here, because Amber's already doing it to herself. And I'm not talking about Amber's already overeating, because she is. Amber likes watching herself eat, right? I don't know if she likes watching herself gain weight, but she definitely likes the look of her putting food in her mouth. So, Midori, you said, incline your phone to my face. Yes. Smash it right to my face. Did I miss anything else? Sorry. I don't usually take calls, but if it's my partner or the hospitals, obviously I'm going to take the call. The police can wait, though. even if Tommy wasn't a psych nurse. Hey, Evie, welcome to the interns. Mwahaha. Yeah, what Kim said there about the food is food. Someone... Right, I gave my I gave my feeder away for you. If someone denied Eugenia food, yeah, if they get in there, if somebody went in and investigated and it turns out, because I think her mom is creepy, it turns out that her mom is A, encouraging, and B, restricting food. Like, she is the one taking the food away or restricting access to the food. That's a whole new world. That's a whole new can of worms. So, and that's pretty much the only way anybody's going to be able to step in on Eugenia's behalf is if we can prove that she's not the one in control. Same situation here. All right, anyway.
And her self-esteem will be so low that she won't see a way out. And hey, she has a food addiction, so expecting her to free herself from the clutches of this relationship is, in my opinion, not reasonable. A quote from a feeder in Bestard's study reads, "Damon believes that there is no victim because for him, feederism occurs with the full consent of both parties." When speaking about having a partner gain to immobility, Damon says, "The biggest thing about it for me, though, is that the feedee is totally comfortable with it and in it. Because of its permanence and the process of it, I want the feedee to be completely comfortable and psychologically prepared. All of the health concerns will have been thoroughly discussed before and during the weight gain process." At another point, he's
No. See, now you're using language that is reserved for... I hate talking about the kink community this much, but now you're using language that is reserved for kink community and for what people call scenes. We're gonna have an adult conversation before we do anything. We're gonna discuss what's gonna happen during this scene and how it's gonna happen. Where people use the stoplights. We're gonna check in while we're doing the scene here and there. No. This is not the same thing. This is not the pre-scene discussion, because this is not scenes end. That's part of the thing. And that's usually part of the kink. Like, it's temporary. This is not temporary. I mean, we can argue that these people can lose weight eventually again, but probably not. And until they lose weight, they're permanently immobile. So no. You don't get to use kink community talking points here. No. Pre-care. Yeah, there's no aftercare. Yeah, I see everyone in my chat. Yeah, there was because there's no end. It's called aftercare for a reason.
states, "As long as both partners are fully consenting adults, it's like enabling an alcoholic to drink. It's the same. I don't feel that my contributing to her unhealthiness is any worse than smoking, alcohol, or drugs. Ensuring full disclosure with and consent from his partner are enough for Damon to deny his own personal responsibility in the end result, immobility or perhaps death."
No. I don't like it. If his partner is aware of the intent and she agrees, there is no victim as she is responsible for her own... No. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. I see what he's doing. I do. I see what's going on. I see what's happening here. And I mean, it's the same argument I've been making all day. It's the language that he's using at this point that I'm not liking.
If his partner is aware of the intent and she agrees, then there is no victim as she is responsible for her own actions. But this, to me, is madness. Sure, feedies are responsible for their own actions, but they are heavily influenced and coerced by their feeders into carrying out this behaviour. They are often immobile, and they are influenced by somebody on whom they depend, not only sometimes for physical safety and food, but also for love and emotional support. They love their feeder, and they believe that their feeder loves them. They want to do whatever they can to please this person. That's why the power dynamic, in my opinion, is so whack.
She was getting into it. She had gotten to where she was beginning to decide what poses she was going to do, where she was going to pose.
But it was part of making you happy.
Yeah, I agree. but
I enjoyed
you
it
seem
too.
you seem to get into
it's
it.
because it's really good for your ego.
Well, it was good for years too.
That's what I mean.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
I will come back to the point of love later, but there is proof of at least one feeder who has this kind of dynamic in his relationship. A guy called Calvin on page 130 of Bestard Study said,
Y'all need to read Common Sense comment there. Yeah, Missa Peep says even if you forced Eugenia into rehab, she would have to stay there her rest of her life because she has to want to change. Yeah, you can't just like with the immobility thing. That's the part that's becoming the issue. If it was just like the scene was dinner, or even if you were going to do something, because I could see this happening, if you wanted to do a scene where the feedie pretends to be immobile. I'm not trying to defend this. I'm just trying to put it into some kind of way of making it fit. Then we can say that this discussion is important because now we're talking about something that has an end point, right? The immobility thing, we've all seen 600 Pound Life. You know, we've all seen these shows. The immobile people take a long time to become mobile again. Sometimes, most of them, I think, end up in the hospital under strict care to lose enough weight that they can stand. Right? So it is kind of permanent at this point. And yeah, no, I don't like it. Safety to a scene belongs to both people, not just the submissive of the scene. Right, exactly. I mean, like, okay, for example, what if they get into this, she tips the scale and, you know, it's the day she can't be immobile or the day she becomes immobile. And then the next day she's like, yeah, I don't like this. What happens when she says, you know, I want, you know, red light? What happens when that happens? Because the consent's gone now. But, you know, she's talking about the love here, the love aspect of it. And that's a manipulation and a control tactic. I mean, it's Stockholm syndrome. But anyway. Hey, Maura. Well, we're halfway through it, so... Yeah, what comment said? I didn't realize subspace was a thing, but I like it. I like the name of it, obviously. Yeah, what Kim says, well, there's two of you now. Kim says, yeah, as long as the current state of the situation does not inconvenience the person enough, they will not choose to get help. Amber has just the perfect storm of mental ailments to remain in denial. Amber's not in denial. Amber wants this. That's the thing I keep trying to explain to people. Amber's happy. She's got somebody who's in on the same thing she's in on, which is eating. Amber is okay with this right now, and maybe always will be. You know, we may be watching the end of Amber's mobile days. So, I got you. Comment. Thank you, Kim. Other Kim. Moderator Kim. A switch flipped epiphany moment. Yeah, I mean, I used to work with a guy who was a recovered alcoholic, and okay, and the joke is that archaeologists drink. That's apparently what we're supposed to do in our downtime. And so a lot of times after work, people would go to the local bar and kind of chill and that kind of thing. I don't drink at all. So if I went, it was kind of like I'd stay until people were on like their second or third drink, and then I would go home because I also don't like being around drunk people. So when he and I would work together, we would go to a cafe or, you know, someplace that was open. Hell, we hung out at McDonald's one time just because we wanted to get out. And I asked him, I was like, so when did you decide you didn't want to be an alcoholic anymore? And it's kind of like this switch flip moment. He says he looked up into the mirror of the bar and he saw himself and he was like, well, this is how I die. And then he was like, but I don't want to die. So that was the day. That was the day that was his flip. I think she's happy because this behavior hits all of her buttons. Yes. They need to be taken care of. They need to be controlled. Taking control of, manipulate. The control thing is going to be the sticker point, though, I think, when this comes up. I'm sorry if I'm missing like 90% of the conversation. And it's set to top chat, so that's great. Sorry about that. Now it's on live chat. Sorry about missing 2/3 of the conversation. Anyway, Amber likes having control. Amber likes to be the one in control. And so I think when it becomes the point where she can't have control anymore because she's immobile, I think that's going to be the problem. But by that, I think it might be too late. So we don't need to type there. We need to come over here. I had one job. Yeah, I know. It was on live chat when we started.
First, she would not have been able to get much past £400 without me or someone to help her because her mobility was already so bad. Second, she really does have the desire to gain, but like any challenge, she sometimes has doubts and benefits from the support of those around her. If I were to guess, I think she might have stopped gaining weight about a couple of £100 ago when she was 600 or so, were it not for my influence and persuasion.
And that's what we call the red light.
This is sick. Here we have a feeder admitting that if it wasn't for him and his intervention, his partner would never have gained beyond a certain point. He is the reason she got so big. This is sick. And if
Tammy's also hitting the nail on the head here too with Amber hasn't found her sense of mortality yet, which is why she doesn't take her cancer follow-up seriously either. Yeah, exactly. She hasn't had any truly, well, you would think cancer would be bad enough, but Amber hasn't gotten scared yet, you know? And we've watched Foodie. Foodie gets scared a lot. Foodie gets scared at least once or twice a year. And even she goes right back to what she was doing. So Amber's a great psychological study of motivations and behaviors. Yes. One of the reasons I stick around here. Yeah, well, some people don't have a bottom,
she does,
a rock
I think
bottom,
it's
you
very,
know?
very hard to argue that he is not culpable for her murder, or at the very least, negligent manslaughter. What I'm getting at here is that Amber is free to do what she wants, but Tommy is not free to be in her ear convincing her, especially as Tommy has already been present at and complicit in the death of at least one partner. You know, sometimes you hear the saying, it's a fetish, you know, it's a kink, whatever, you crack on, do what you want, provided you're not hurting anyone. And I'm not here to kink shame. If it's just a normal kink where you aren't hurting anyone, crack on. But this comes with the massive caveat that you're free to carry out your kink or your fetish however you like, provided you're not hurting anyone. That is the big caveat. These feeders then say, well, the person wants to be hurt, they're giving consent, they're choosing to be hurt, they want to be involved. But I say, just because somebody wants to be hurt doesn't mean it's okay for you to hurt them. If somebody says, hey, I want to jump off this building, you don't hand them a fucking ladder. You might ask them what's wrong, you might try and encourage them to get support. You certainly don't encourage them in their damaging behaviour and then stand by getting sexual gratification from watching it happen. That is sick. So to answer my...
And in the back of my head, I'm going, there are people like that. There are people who would do that. There are people who would encourage that particular behavior. So we all know someone who doesn't have a rock bottom. Her name's Chantel. I think the really important thing from this study that she's commenting on is the guy at the point where the guy said she has her doubts, but I convinced her to keep going, because that's coercion. And that's not okay. That actually is bad. So if we get to the point where Amber has one of her I want to lose weight moments and is real about it, and Tommy's like, nah, babe, you need to keep eating. Now she's being coerced into doing it. And that is that is when it stops being good. Somebody asked Foodie if she ever feels shame for the response itself. Was very I don't think I don't think Chantel has shame. I mean, we're not gonna talk about it here, but yeah, I don't think Chantel feels shame the way normal people do. They really are. Yeah, Adderall. I was almost positive there were people, but like, okay. I was just thinking about this. There are certain types of kinks or fetishes. I'm not gonna refer to them as kinks. There are certain fetishes that are illegal for obvious reasons, I would hope. Things like encouraging people to check themselves out. And another one is like being a child enthusiast. We don't allow, most societies don't allow for that because we decided as a society that that's gross, and because it's gross, because it is gross. So if you're participating in that, you're breaking the law, right? So there are situations where a fetish is illegal. Unfortunately, this isn't one of them. So. Violation of deceased remains. Oh, dear God. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that one's also a no-no because it's weird. I'm sorry, that one's a little weird.
My question, is Amberlynn a free consenting participant? No, not really. She is a victim of manipulation.
I don't think so. I don't think she is. She might become a victim of manipulation. But I don't think at this point she is. Just Jamie says, I think Amber has deluded herself into thinking Tommy really truly loves. Oh yeah, no, 100%. And that's part of the reason she's okay with this situation. No, Amber doesn't know what actual love is. And that's another part of the issue. Amber falls in love very quickly. And it looks like Tommy falls in love very quickly too. So no, Amber thinks she's in love with Tommy because Amber's in love with everybody who she sees for more than 2 times in a row. I think it's going to be very interesting when the power struggle starts. Because there's going to be a power struggle eventually. Because Amber likes to be in control. And obviously this is a Dom sub situation. And if you're the Dom, you're the one who's typically in control, right? So that kind of a thing. Dolce says, as it is right now, I think Amber is fully aware that she's a feedee. Yeah, exactly. And is okay with it. The delusion for her is the love part. Yeah, right now, that's what it is. And that's the other thing. Brioche kind of brings it up. Amber desperately wants to get married. She desperately wants to be a wife. And that's going to be the thing that Tommy can dangle in front of her is, oh, I might marry you, kind of a thing. Yeah, Amber thinks infatuation is love. Yeah. I would like to know what's going on with Mama Lynn. A, because I'm curious. Well, B, because I'm curious, honestly. So I would like to know about that one, but, if I never hear about it, it's fine. Anyway, going back to this. It is entirely possible that at some point Amber is going to become a victim of manipulation. I do not believe that is what is going on right now.
And I know the big rebuttal, the big kind of argument back to what I'm saying here is, well, Amber was going to overeat anyway. Amber wants to be fat. She loves it. She hasn't lost weight in 10 years. She clearly likes food. She clearly wants to be fat. And in response to that, I say this. There are lower order and higher order wants. Amber might want a bucket of chicken at a lower order, but at that higher order, really what she wants is mobility and health. That is where the addiction comes in. An addict might want a drink of alcohol, but what they really want is to get their kids out of the foster system. But they don't seem to be able to put this higher order want over the lower order want, and that is because of their addiction, and that is the situation that Amber is in. So sure, Amber loves food and Amber wants to eat, but really, really deep down when you...
I haven't had dinner yet, and this is making me really hungry.
cut it to the bone, Amber wants to lose weight. So Tommy might say, well, I'm helping her do what she wants. She wants to eat. Yeah, she wants to eat, but that's because of her food addiction. She doesn't actually want to gain weight. What she actually wants is to lose weight, which we've seen her say and cry about for years now. Amber Lynn claims,
she has been in my life since June 18th, and I've lost weight. She wants me healthy, she wants me mobile, she wants me happy, and she wants to have a life with me. She wants to go out and do things with me.
But this is just a lie. She probably claimed to want a future with her dead fiancé. In fact, she definitely did, because why else would you propose to somebody if not because you want a future with them? And yet she continued feeding her on her deathbed. And then she had the audacity to cry at her funeral when she was the one who brought her to this unhealthy state. It kind of makes me think of a lover feeding their partner poison while they're lying in their sickbed and they're pretending to take care of them. And actually, sugar breaks down in our liver as something of a poison. So the argument that Tommy is complicit in her fiancé's murder actually kind of does have legs. As well as this, these immobile feedees can't move. They're not capable of going to the kitchen and cooking up a meal. They can't drive themselves through the McDonald's drive-thru. So if they do gain weight to the point of immobility or death, it is kind of, or entirely, their feeder's fault, because they were able to continue eating food which they physically couldn't have got if it wasn't for their feeder.
And again, I refer back to James King, who was immobile. He could not get his own food. And he did eat himself to death. The problem was, the problem was, as long as he was considered to be of sound mind and an adult, there wasn't anything anyone could do. Right? Okay. I'm not saying this because I think, oh man, Ethiopian sounds delicious right now. Damn it. Anyway, I'm not defending this stuff. I'm just trying to point out that, like, your hands are tied, I guess is what I'm trying to point out. Your hands are tied in this kind of a situation. And I think that frustrates a lot of people, but because I hear you guys. I see you guys. I hear you guys. I know some of you think that this is terrible and awful and that Tammy should be in jail. I see you and I understand. But the issue is, as things stand right now, there's nothing anyone can do about it. Even after Amber becomes an actual victim, I think it will happen. There's not going to be much anyone can do as long as she's of sound mind and is an adult. You know? Do not eat anything. No, I'm at Ethiopian food. It's delicious. Smug, that's the whole point though. It's so spicy. You guys are cracking me up. Why are there fish? Why are there fish and octopus?
Just a second ago, I said that Amber Lynn Reid is a victim of manipulation, and I know that that sentence is something which lots of people would have a huge problem with. And if you've watched Amber Lynn for any period of time, you will see the irony in me claiming that she is a victim of manipulation, because she is the queen of manipulation from what we've seen. She's been proven to be deeply, deeply manipulative with her past romantic partners, to the point where it's caused some of them serious long-term effects from dating her. So it is highly ironic that somebody who has been so manipulative with their partners is now dating a person who is going to, if they haven't already, begin a master manipulation campaign to encourage Amber to gain weight. We already know that Amber has been bedbound in the past, and now she's only 50 to 70 pounds away from being bedbound again. And if that occurs, it truly will be the end game for Amber. Mr. Snowflake, in his video, Emily Keeps Getting Worse, he says,
we're going to freeze here because Mr. Bathrobe is actually pretty funny. I want to point something out for those of you who haven't watched Amber's newest video. And I'm gonna set off a lot of alarm bells here. Amber in the newest video complains about her knees and her ankles hurting because of the stairs in Tommy's house. So yeah. So here we are. We're getting back to immobile, and we're kind of speed running it at this point, I feel like. And Amber has already admitted with her own mouth that her mobility has decreased. Now, she's claiming it's because she has to go up and down the stairs so frequently and her muscles aren't strong enough. And she doesn't seem to understand that she's carrying like 3 whole ass people on top of her own weight. You know? So here we are. Anyway. Yeah, if she falls, she's not getting back up. Yeah, if you haven't seen Amber's most recent video that came out today, she does talk about that in that video.
I make plenty of videos on Amber being evil. I know exactly how evil she is. But a feeder came along, which was more evil.
The idea that Amber is evil, but that her partner Tommy, this feeder, is even worse is very interesting. And I suppose we have to ask the question, can a manipulator be manipulated? But the answer, in my opinion, is of course they can.
Yeah.
A big bad guy can bump into an even bigger bad guy and become their victim. Amber might be a terrible person, but she hasn't had a hand in killing anyone. Not that we know of. But Tommy has. Now, there are those who argue that Amber knows that Tommy is a feeder. And I do think that that probably is the case. The likelihood that all of this evidence existed, both circumstantial and physical, and Amber remains in the dark is very unlikely. Somebody on Reddit created a thread where they said, I know Big Al takes comfort in knowing that Emily's previous partner was much bigger than her. I think she feels that because she is 400 pounds smaller, Emily must love her more. Emily's been with a 1,100 pound woman. She's seen much worse than Al, and Al loves that so much. She can be herself and even gain weight and does not need to worry about Emily being turned off by that. I found this take to be quite interesting. If Amber knows that Tommy is a feeder, then she's definitely okay with it. Somebody else commented something interesting, saying, I honestly believe the only reason this is the first death feeder that Amber is dating is because statistically they are mostly men, and this is the first lesbian she has found.
I think this is a very important part here. Tommy's unusual. Tommy's rare, right? Tommy's a rare form of Pokemon. Because most of these kind of kinks, fetishes, are male dominated, right? Especially when it comes to the person, the dominant person tends to be male. Not saying it can't be. I'm just saying it tends that way, trends that way. Amber is a lesbian, as she reminds us constantly. But so she, to find a death feeder like this, has to, it's hard to find. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that Amber's not on a website like Phoebe. Honestly. Maybe she just didn't know it existed, because I didn't. So, I don't know. But yeah, that's the most important part of that Adderall. She is willing to be fooled. She wants to be fooled. You guys are talking about her not being able to get up and down the stairs. Honestly, yeah, maybe it just never occurred to her. Candy fountain. Got a candy fountain, Amber. The door. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna let her finish.
But that is quite insightful. How many lesbian death feeders are there out there? I don't know. Probably not that many. So we need to answer the question, does Amber deserve it? Does Amber deserve to die at the hands of a feeder?
Okay, look. I know people don't like Amber. I understand this point. I don't wish death on anyone. I don't wish death on any of the girls. I wish they would wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, I'm done with this, and go pull a Nikocado avocado. I truly wish that was something that they would do. Is it going to happen? No. And do I think just because Amber is a horrible person that she deserves to have horrible things happen to her? No, I don't. There's literally a handful of people on this planet that I'm like, I truly wish bad things for you. Honestly, it is a very, very small group of people. Amber's not in that group. Amber has always said she didn't like feeders. She thinks she's too good for that. Yeah. She would never display herself on a feed site. That's a good point. Good point. Hello, Shadow. And Bug Love. And I saw somebody, Scathulu made it in here. I'm with you on that. I wish they would just wake up and actually, yeah, exactly. Just, guys, come on. If Tommy doesn't, she'll do it herself, which is sad and dark. Yeah. Starts with a bang. Yes. The answer is yes.
She deserved to lose her mobility, be manipulated into gaining more weight than she probably wants to, and I suppose it comes down to the moral question of, do awful people deserve to have awful things happen to them? I would say, to be honest, I don't know. This is kind of a personal moral judgment which you can make for yourself, but the
Also
thought
true.
doesn't really sit right with me personally. It's like with the death penalty or with capital punishment. I've never liked it because I think it takes away a person's opportunity to actually sit with what they've done and actually feel the effects of the misery that they've caused. And for some really heinous crimes, I don't really want people to be put to death so that they can forget all about what they did. I don't think that they should get to just die. I will admit my opinion on this is still somewhat half-baked, so I would be really interested to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. But when I say this, I am referring to really evil criminals like murderers or people who hurt children or commit SA. So if I don't really believe that these kinds of people should be killed, then I certainly don't believe that Amber Lynn, for all the awful things that she's done, deserves to die. I saw a comment under one of her videos. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it because I've already had a good dig. I'll put it here if I can find it. But somebody commented words to the effect of, she's finally getting what she deserves. And I disagree. I don't think she deserves to die. Even Mr. Snowflake says that he doesn't want to watch Amber die. And as he says it, you can almost see that he hears himself say it.
It was another human being, I guess. I didn't want to be fattened up and killed, which is fine to think. Now that I say it out loud, that's fine to think.
He goes like, I don't want to watch her die. And then he goes, is that controversial? Is it controversial to say you don't want to watch someone die? And no, it's not. No matter how awful somebody is,
I would hope that's not controversial. I would hope there's not a controversy out there of people deciding whether or not Amber deserves to live. It's a little dark. It's a little dark. A little kind of really actually very dark. Again, very small group of people. So. Bad people should experience the consequences of their actions. Not be victimized by someone else. Yeah, exactly. The thing to remember here too, not justifying anything. I just want people to keep everything in mind. Amber wasn't born this way. Amber was made like this, right? And something else I address in the reaction that I'll eventually get up. And the system failed Amber in a myriad of ways. And one of them is teaching her anything resembling empathy. So you don't have to work hard to convince me that bad stuff happened to her, right? And that shit sticks with you, some of it. So Amber is Amber because of all of that. Now, again, you can only be a victim for so long. Like, once you're an adult, and I honestly don't think 18's an adult. We can argue about that all you want. But once you have your brain turned back on around 2023, you have to take responsibility for yourself at this point, right? So I'm not saying Amber isn't responsible for her absolutely shitty behavior, because she is, right? She's been told multiple times to go to a damn doctor, to go get a therapist, to stop not taking her medicines. And I see you guys, and I'll get you in a second. But yeah, and her choosing not to do that shit, you're a shitty person. You're a shitty person because you won't go get better. Anyway, people need come back. Scathulu, was that the okay? Scathulu says people need to reel back on that hate boner. But do I feel like it's karma? I don't think it's karma, because Amber wants this. I know she's talking about higher and lower needs, desires. Yeah, I'll have to back it up. But anyway. But I think Amber's higher need is to eat herself to immobility. Amber wants to be pampered. She wants to be taken care of. She wants to be the center of attention at all times, right? I don't think she understands what all of that means. And when the reality of it hits her, I think we're going to hear a whole new tune. But currently, just because we think she should be losing weight does not mean Amber actually wants to be losing weight. Emmy says, I do feel bad for her. Not in an excuse your behavior kind of way, but in an, oh, honey, you have been... Yeah, exactly. Kim says, I don't think we should take away the fact that Amber not only was made this way, but she also made herself this way. She still has agency. She has agency in her actions now. That's the point. She did not have agency in her actions up until the age of 18. And then she was booted out of the system because she's an adult. You're not an adult at 18. But, so up until that point, she gets some grace. After that, after 23, you're in control of yourself at that point. Your brain's turned back on. All of your shits should be working. You're good. You're able to make decisions. You understand cause and effects. You know, if you're still fucking around with things that you know you should probably go get fixed because you know it's screwing up with your life, if you're choosing not to go do that, that's on you now. That's a you decision now. Yeah, just Jamie, Amber is still in a place where she can revoke consent. Yeah. Yeah, Amber just hasn't had that moment. The switch flip. I don't know if she's gonna have one. You do think she wants to lose weight, but she isn't. But she can't because of the mentals. She is neglected, and that's... Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad argument, honestly. Hey, Curvey! Okay. That's a good point, too, Tammy. Changing has to hurt more than staying where you are. That's very true. People don't change just, you know, for the lulz. No, you don't get better overnight, bro. That's why it's a commitment. That's the other part people don't seem to understand. Some of this shit you're committing for life.
You're allowed to not want to watch them die. And I think we've kind of lost our way a little bit with the morals. Just because somebody has done something really, really awful, you don't really want to watch them die. Maybe you do if they've hurt you or they've hurt someone you love or someone you care about. And of course, there are some specific wild situations where I would 100% want to watch somebody die. If they, you know, if they murdered one of my family members or did some other, God forbid, awful thing, sure, I would want to see their demise. But I don't think a person on the internet who has been horribly, horribly manipulative and lied about their partners and done various other things really deserves to die. I don't think so. And I also don't think that it's particularly controversial to say that. So I conclude this section with the following sentence. Amber Lynn Reid is a victim of Tommy because Tommy is a predator and Amber is her prey in this particular situation. She can have her own victims, and many would argue that she does, and I agree that she does. But that doesn't stop her being a victim of another abuser simultaneously. So we have established that Amber is a deeply flawed human who's...
I can agree with the whole Amber... that Tommy's the predator and Amber's the prey. I can agree with that one. Because as I keep saying, eventually we're going to get to a power struggle here. And I don't know what's going to end up happening. What was which reaction? I don't know. Benji says this is an insanely sad turn in the ALR world. And hope everyone in the chat and Tiny are doing well. Yay! I think we're doing as well as we are going to be able to. Some of us are doing better than others.
Done some terrible things, and we've established that Tommy is a feeder who wants to victimize Amber. To round this video off, I'm going to share some of my deep dive into feederism, some of the stuff which has heavily influenced my opinion on feederism. So it just remains for us to slot the final piece of the puzzle in. And
okay, I'm gonna just pause here real quick. So this is pretty much the rest of the video. We're gonna watch, but if you're not into this kind of thing, or if this is triggering for you, now's your chance. We're on Rachel P. This is Rachel the Python's channel. So.
And just really solidify and nail down, is feederism really that bad? Is Tommy really that bad? So we're going to take a deep dive now and a good look into feederism itself and really try and pick it apart and ascertain, is it that bad and what is so bad about it if it is? There were some things that I found on my hunt in Best Stars research, but also in other articles and things that I found that genuinely turned my stomach and genuinely made me feel ill. I have a lot of reasons for believing that some feeders are as bad as serial killers, and I know that's a severe comment to make, but I am going to share now where I got that from. The first thing to note is that feederism does vary massively in degrees. There are those who like a chunky partner and might encourage them to gain 5 to 10 pounds or a few stone just because they enjoy the feeling of their soft body. There are those who are a bit further along who actively want to encourage their feedie to grow and get so big that they kind of struggle to carry out day-to-day activities and need a little bit more support. Those people enjoy being needed, and there's some sexual enjoyment there for them too, at seeing their partner get so large.
Yeah, that's an interesting, because all of them talk about that. The like being needed part. Is that a power thing? Is that power? Scuthulu says I meant the proposal. Oh yeah, that whole proposal thing. Ugh. Bye, Scuthulu. Have fun at therapy. See, you got to commit to these things. Just a dated feeder 2 years later. Well, yeah, good point.
And then there are those who are into what's known as death feederism. These are people who want to see their partner reach £1,000. £1,000 in the feederism world is kind of thought of as like the peak success. That's like where you want to get £1,000. It's like, oh yeah, you've done it. And I'm sure there are people that fall all along this spectrum as well. And Tommy is definitely on the spectrum. Based on the fact that she already has one partner who reached £1,000 and died of weight-related disease, it wouldn't take that much mental gymnastics to convince yourself that Tommy falls very far towards the end of this spectrum. I mentioned a second ago the latter category of feeders who want their feedies to get so big that they die. An example of this is a man called Calvin. Listen to how scarily callous what this feeder that Bestard interviews says. Bestard writes, Calvin and his wife Rosie clearly recognise the injury caused to her from her weight gain. Not only do they say that she is immobile, not having gotten out of bed in about 2 years, they also recognise that she's soon to die. Rosie is unsure if she will see her 30th birthday, which is less than 2 years away. When asked if, in the end, when she dies, will it all have been worth it, Calvin says,
she is less than 30 years old. This Rosie girl, Calvin's wife. She is less than 30. Well, it even says 2 years away. So what, she's 28? She's barely started living. And she's going to be dead. Probably died before this paper came out. When you get old, this is very young. And it's just very sad to me. Like, you haven't even started to live yet, man. And you're never gonna. That's just sad. I'm getting choked up. Anyway.
Definitely worth it. Helping an avowed feedie gorge herself to death is the gift that keeps on giving for both of us. I need people like her to achieve my sexual fantasies, and she needs people like me for the same reason. He constructs the health consequences and eventual death as just the end result and not something he feels the need to justify. Calvin recognises the fragility of his wife's health, which he finds extremely sexually appealing. This, to me, is abhorrent. Somebody might have a desire to get...
How does that manifest? Because we keep going back to this is sexually gratifying for them. How does that manifest for them? Because, I mean, think about sexual gratification in a normal situation. That's not what's happening. So, anyway, I don't want to think about it too much. Bye, Kim. Or good night, Kim. There was a man. Yeah, Rachel, we were talking about him. That's James King. Somebody posted the wife's name and I don't remember what it was. Yeah, it's okay. Anyway.
Gain weight, they might be standing at the edge of a tall building and have the desire to jump, but if you encourage them, you are still fucking culpable. Just because they wanted to do it before you were there doesn't mean that you are allowed to fucking help. Calvin even said in the snip that I showed earlier, she wouldn't have been able to get past £600 without my help. In saying this, he is literally admitting culpability in the upcoming death of his wife. If that isn't enough to convince you that feederism is a vile, murderous activity, let's push on into another example. I found a thread on a sickening webpage called Fantasy Feeder, where somebody comments, I've been fortunate enough to help 3 people so far reach their goal of immobility.
Yeah, this one blows me away. I can't do it again. What were you saying, fam? Oh, hey, Sarah.
2 of my feedies decided to move into nursing homes after becoming immobile, and the other feedie I fed until the day he died. I may have read that quote already in this video, I can't remember if I have, but the fact that this person calls themselves fortunate to be able to watch somebody die is disgusting. Later on in the thread, somebody asks how the person died, and she says, he had a heart attack in bed. I know he lived life on his terms. That is terrifying. He literally
Whoa. There was way more than that.
says he had
Sorry, I want to read the whole thing. I'm watching the train wreck now. I got to see all of it. Tiger Lily says he had a heart attack in bed. In my job, I have worked in hospitals. I have seen death many times. I know he lived his life on his terms. We should all be so lucky. I wonder how many of these people are in caregiving fields. It's not even ruining their lives, Mammy. It's just ending them. There's no life to ruin. Hey, Benji. Okay, Pants. What is the loud bell? Might be my phone, sorry.
a heart attack in bed.
Nope, that's something that she's got going on in her video. I don't know why.
I know he lived life on his terms. That is terrifying. He literally had a heart attack in the bed that she fed him in. Sure, her feedie lived life on his own terms in a way, but it gets to the point where these extremely overweight individuals cannot physically feed themselves. They no longer have the physical ability to get their own food. And at this point, nature would normally step in and force them to lose weight because they wouldn't be able to eat until they could move again. And they would end up losing weight by proxy because they physically couldn't seek out food. The fact that the feeder is there.
I think people forget in that situation. You still need water. You will die without water, and you will die from lack of water long before you'll die from starvation. So if they happened to die near the sink, I guess, or having several large flats of water, yes, they would probably starve down to the point where they could be mobile again. But oh, thank you, Sarah. Yay, I appreciate that very much. But, like, you're... cat hair. That's always my problem with these people. They're like, oh, they'll just starve to death. They'll just starve the weight off. Yes, but they will die from dehydration first. So, maybe I'm just thinking about it way too much. I just think about it too much.
To keep passing them the poison makes their death of obesity-related disease the feeder's fault, at least partially. And the way they talk about their feedies is sick. John from Obese to Beast talks about how feederism preys on the insecurity and low self-esteem of lots of larger people. He says that when they find the community, they run into all of this gratification, which they didn't get before. And they can't tell the difference between good attention and bad attention.
I thought I had found a community that was accepting of me.
That's it right there. I know I'm stopping this a lot, but that in my opinion is the crux of so much of this. Being accepted, or at least feeling like you are accepted. It's why like cults become so popular, and like they get their hooks in people so deep, because as humans, the vast majority of us want connection and community and to feel part of something. And True. That is the danger of these types of things, because they are so good at, I think the term is love bombing people, making you feel like, oh my God, this is what I've been searching for. I deserve this. This is going to change my life.
He's not wrong. Words that I was looking for. Was it Manslav's? That's the wrong name. Anyway, the hierarchy of needs. Just Jamie. Rosie talks about this and how she felt so accepted, and that's why she enjoyed it at first. Yeah. Ouch, that hurt. Excuse me.
When in reality, it's something that is, like, in her case, which we'll find out later, was going to take her life. And people were, that's why they wanted to be next to her, so they could help facilitate that happening. It's insane. And I'm not going to sit here and say I understand it exactly, but I can understand the want to be accepted. And I think most people can as well.
I think John is so right. This community preys on people's insecurities. It makes them feel as though they found love and acceptance, when actually these feeders just want to watch them get so big that they literally can't move. There is nothing loving about that. I will come back to the topic of love in a bit, but just to show you how depraved some of the minds of these feeders are, take a look at this.
You're terrifying me. Okay, 2 things have happened. 1, my partner is on his way home. Yay! Always a good thing. 2, well, okay, 3 things. 2, I'm starving. And 3, the guy I like who's playing Project Zomboid went live. So, Abraham Maslow, right? I am determined to pronounce it law. Maslow. So, Cat Whisperer, I'm self-actualized. So I am going to call this here. She does, actually, no, we're going to skip through this. Okay, hang on. We're going to go to the end of the video is what we're going to do. We're going to skip to the end where the Amber plus Tommy, a heartbreaking story, and the Amber thinks she's in love. And then that'll wrap this up. So I'm sticking around, K-Buns. I'm gonna...
So rounding this back to Amberlynn and Tommy, Tommy's been involved in these behaviours before, and it's terrifying that she's now dating Amber. If Amber moves in with Tommy, it will become deeply, deeply concerning. Her life will genuinely, potentially be at risk. Hello, Editing Rachel here. I've decided to jump back in because since I actually recorded the audio for this video, there's been a small development, which is that Amber went to visit Tommy in Wisconsin, but it appears that she is staying. The footage I'm showing right now is Amber in a little corner of Tommy's house, and it's quite clear, partially because she's not uploading, but also because she talks about her mental health in this video, that she is really struggling in her current situation.
Like, I am with Tommy. I am with someone that I love, but I feel so depressed. And it's like, it's not fair because it's like, I'm getting people on Instagram, because I was doing these Q&As on there, I was getting people on there saying like, if you're so happy with Tommy, then why are you depressed?
A lot of reaction channels like to assume, and Amber points out that they do that, and she's not wrong. Channels do assume things that they don't know for sure. I don't know if Amber is struggling with her mental health because she's living with Tommy. None of us know, and that's the truth. But it is quite odd, and it is quite suspicious that since she's moved into this situation with Tommy, she appears to be really unhappy. And
I'm trying to digest this one. I'm not ditching you guys. We're gonna watch the end of this. Jeez. I am gonna put the link for this in the chat though when we get done here though, so you guys can go watch it. We've watched most of it, but I've talked through the majority of it, so you might want to go watch it yourself without me, because it is a very good video. Also, I'm digging Rachel P, so I hope she does some more. She doesn't necessarily have to do more Amber stuff, but I like the format of her videos. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, Amber and the depression. Amber's been talking about her mentals for a while. And I'm not sure I'm swallowing this whole, like, I get down like this every year around this time. Maybe last year and you did because there was no wifey, but I don't remember her being deep in her mentals any other year. I do, and I have to remember that I keep saying this. I want to go back and look at her videos from the past Novembers and Decembers and see if she really was going through it or not, because that would answer the question. But I don't know. I'm thinking of Pavlov's law. No, I was thinking of the hierarchy of needs. But Pavlov's law is also known as a temporal continuity. Don't you throw big words at me, goddammit. I went to college. Oh, yeah, I mean, like Four Paws says, I'm happily married, I love my partner, there's no reason why I should be depressed, but it still happens. Depression sucks. And, you know, I talk about mine a lot. You don't need a reason, and it comes out of fucking nowhere. So, and it's the rest of your life, you know? So I'm not saying she can't be depressed. I believe she has depression. I believe she has a lot of things, but I don't believe she's been formally diagnosed. That's where the caveat comes in. So, I mean, yeah, I just don't know if she really was getting down around this time. And I don't think, because if she isn't getting depressed every year about this time or enough years around this time, then yeah, it probably does have something to do with the fact that she shipped herself up to Wisconsin and she hasn't left this house. Okay? Or at least not that we've seen. I was born depressed. Pavlov is the dog in the belly, yeah. But I'm sure he did other things too. What I remember, she was always excited for a holiday. Yeah, she was always She keeps saying Christmas is one of her favorite holidays. I remember that. She would usually go over the top decorating. Right, Adderall. Amber's has always been depressed and will always be. Yes, because she won't go get help. Yes. It can be environmental. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, it can have triggers, but it can also just, oh, you're having a nice life? Ah, how about some depression? So. Yes, and you all corrected me that seasonal depression is a real thing. Well, that you can really get diagnosed with, so.
She feels the need to defend Tommy and justify Tommy's actions, and I think that probably is a sign that there is something nefarious going on with Tommy. I mean, we know.
Amber posted a new TikTok. I think she's going to the Billie Eilish concert in Chicago tonight. How the fuck is she getting to Chicago? Chicago's like 3 or 4 hours away. Ooh, is she in Madison? Milksy just uploaded. Yay! All my favorites are uploading. All I need now is for Kicking Geese to go live or post a video. You're like, my life is complete. Anyway.
There is, but the fruits of their relationship are quite clear in the way that Amber appears in this video.
I have to say that because a lot of people are blaming Tommy for my lack of uploads. No, she has been so supportive, and she's just she understands that I need a break, but she's also very encouraging when it comes to things that I enjoy and love, and she knows I love YouTube, and she's upload when you want, but she's always giving me cute little ideas.
And this brings me to my final point.
Every single one of her partners since, okay, Wifey was like this, Beck was like this. I don't remember too much about, I don't think we were at this point yet when we were still with Destiny.
Which I think is genuinely the saddest point of all
they
of
are
this,
in
of this whole
Milwaukee.
video.
That's what
and
I thought.
That is that, like I said in the intro, Amber thinks that she is in love. She thinks she's living in a love story, but she's not. She's living in a horror story. I did say I would come back to the point of love, and here we are. This, in my opinion, is the most dangerous part of feederism. The feeder does not actually care about the feedee. They certainly don't care about them in any meaningful way, or in any way which is active or promotes the person's longevity. They view their feedees as animals or as something to use.
I'd love to be her 24/7 caretaker for all of her needs. I love her wheezing so much as well. Really shows how food addicted she is, that she's willing to sacrifice being able to get up without wheezing nonstop just so she can continue eating what she wants. I love how pretty she is and how she maintains her makeup, but has completely given in to becoming a glutton, making her body super morbidly obese. She knows how to present herself, but just can't stop eating. I hope her weight skyrockets as she becomes less mobile. Jesus Christ. And then death feederism. Why is that a thing? Dear Reddit, I need someone to make me bigger. And said person who's deleted their account. I volunteer, but there's no coming back. Yeah. I mean, you're posting in death feederism, so. Jesus. Yeah, these comments are a thing. Is she? She's got to be close to Chicago, because there's no way in hell Amber would do another long drive to Chicago. Oh, if she's going to Chicago for the concert. Have fun, Amber. I know where you're going. Yeah, giving 7 vibes. Yeah, only not the skinny version. Humans are twisted. Yes, we are. We are the scariest monsters in the world.
Use for sexual gratification, and when the person passes away they move on quickly, and this is the horrible reality of feederism. I said earlier that love in these types of situations often keeps women and people in abusive relationships that they shouldn't be in. Love is often used as an excuse for abuse. It's a tale as old as time. A person with low self-esteem who doesn't realize that they deserve better gets sucked into a relationship with an abuser who love bombs them, gets inside their mind and starts to convince them to see things their way.
But it was part of making you happy.
Yeah, you seem to get into it.
Because it's really good for your ego.
Well, it was good for years, too.
That's what I mean.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
The person being victimized often doesn't even realize what's happening until it's way too late, until the love bombing has made them feel a strong connection to their abuser, and then they can't leave. That is why.
Okay, I got Cree, maybe it's Cluster B. That's a good one. Just Jamie, Uncomfortable Ginger and Ghoulish Gal, welcome to the interns. Mwah. I gave away 5. I need to remember that I have those to give away.
Why, above all, this is a sad story. This is a heartbreaking story. This is only going to end in tears for Amber. There is no situation where a relationship between Amber Lynn Reid and a known feeder ends anything other than tragically. I don't personally want to sit here and watch it happen. I want to say something. So, to summarise, to what extent is Amber Lynn Reid a free agent who can make her own choices? 100% she is. But that doesn't mean that Tommy is free to encourage her and get some sort of sick satisfaction from watching it happen. What duty of care do we have for others? Well, the ones who are close to us, whose lives we can actually affect, we have a massive duty of care. If somebody wants to hurt themselves in front of our eyes, it is our job, it is your job to step in my opinion anyway. This is my moral judgment. It's your choice to believe whatever you think is the case. But it's wrong to stand by and watch somebody suffer and then encourage them to carry out the behaviour which is leading to their suffering. As internet observers, there is not much we can do to stop Amber from being with Tommy. We can try and be factual, and I want to say kind in how we talk about Amber. Perhaps kind might be a bit much for some people, but we can certainly be mindful and demure. I'm kidding. We can certainly be mindful and thoughtful and honest in how we discuss Amber and this situation. I'm not saying we need to be fake, but I think we need to speak with a heart of hoping that she does free herself. There's no joy in sitting there wanting somebody to fail, wanting somebody to potentially die. There's no pleasure and there's no benefit, in my opinion, not really, from sitting there and coaxing somebody on and enjoying and loving the fact that they're gaining weight and suffering and getting what they deserve. If you sit there and enjoy watching Amber gain weight to the point of death, you are no better than Tommy, let's be honest. There's nothing cute about hoping something bad happens to someone else. I just think that's dodgy. Let's try and call shit out when we see it. Try and be active and caring in the lives of the people that we actually know, that we actually can affect. And let's hope that Amber sees videos like this and videos like Mr. Snowflakes and opens up her mind and admits the situation that she's really in and seeks some genuine help. There are so many people who would love to see Amber succeed. There are so many people who don't like Amber right now, but if she actually made effort and made progress and saved herself from this situation, which is genuinely potentially dire, if Amber stepped in and saved her own life, there are thousands and thousands of people who are haters of her who would actually be so happy to see it and who would big her up and who would praise her for her success.
That's the part that always floors me. Like, she gets a lot of criticism. Let's not pretend. But a lot of the people who are criticizing her not necessarily would stop if she started losing weight, because a lot of the things they criticize her for isn't her weight. It's her attitude. But yeah, but these same people are the ones who tried to warn her about this. They're the same people who are like, why haven't you gone to the hospital? Why haven't you gone and gotten a therapist? They ask about her health, you know? They ask about it in like sarcastic, nasty ways sometimes, but the majority of comments that I see for her really are just sarcastic, I guess is really the word for it. They're very sarcastic. I don't see a lot of people who are just attacking her, right? It happens, but and then there's, you know, the people who have to go after her weight, whatever. But I'm just always amazed at the number of people who are basically, who would be classified as haters, you know, might even think of themselves that way, who are like, hey, maybe don't date a feeder, or, you know, hey, go get your cancer checked, or you know, just any of the other things that people try to remind her or get her to do. It always comes from the haters. It never comes from the people that are actually supportive of her, or that I suspect are real people. I don't know. Amber likes to be a helpless victim. Yes. She does want to be inspirational, though. She just doesn't want to have to do anything.
Let's hope that Amber chooses to surround herself with better people as time goes on. Let's hope that Amber takes a step away from her relationship with Tommy. But if the least we can do is just keep an eye on her, let's just do that. I know this video was a bit serious. I will make some lighter hearted stuff soon, but I just couldn't keep quiet on this topic when I found it so fascinating. I really appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.
All right. First off, I think you should stick to this format and you should stick to this kind of video. And there's lots of topics she could go after and really hammer in the fact that she's got a degree in rhetoric, a philosophy degree in rhetoric, because that is actually really fascinating. And really gives her perspective a good twist, right? Also, you don't see a lot of female philosophers, so I'm really excited for that one. So I know she says she's going to make a lighthearted one. I think you should stick with this. You may not need to make a whole hour-ass long video as hard researched as this one is. You know, maybe 20, 30 minutes is fine, but I think this would be better for your channel overall. and really do push the whole philosophy, rhetoric, argumentation part of it all. The Aussie girl has a lovely voice. Oh, I didn't dissect anything, Evie. This was Rachel P. This is pretty much the only video on here that's like this, but it's really good, and I said I was going to link it. And I think you all should go encourage her because, for reasons, because she has sources. She has sources. She referred to these sources in her video. That's amazing. I need to get better about that too. The girl I'm reacting to is an Aussie? Is she? I have no idea. She's on... Nah, that's not gonna work. This is Rachel P, aka Rachel the Python, on Instagram if you guys want to go see if she's an Aussie. And yeah, I mean, I know we shouldn't do this kind of stuff, but go give her some love, you know? Go tell her you really like the video. Go tell her you'd like to see more stuff like this, because I think it's really good. And it's nice to have level-headed people making documentaries or just discussions like this, because I'm getting tired of like the screaming and the chaos and that kind of shit. I prefer this calmer version. She has no idea what rabbit hole she's dipped. She's been watching Amber for 6 years now. She knows what's going on. I did give I liked it. She has 693 likes. Yeah, the chat was good. I hope you guys had a good chat. I'm sorry I didn't pay attention to it as much as I don't know. I would, you know, I only have one set of eyes. I am sorry about the live chat thing. I need to get so much better about that. And yeah, she's been following Amber for a while. So there's a posted or a pinned comment at the top of the chat that has a link to the Discord if anybody wants to come join the Discord. I'm on there occasionally. I'm on there a lot, let me put it that way. I don't live there though. But it is Nerfy's Discord, and there's a lot more going on there than just the girls, but the girls are there. Yeah, and I'm glad you guys got the stuff I saw above the chat. You know, you guys had some really good points. I love the fact that you guys are talking about this rationally. I didn't see any yelling at each other. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out with me while we watch this video. All right, I really am going to go figure out things. There are things I need to figure out. And also it's time for me to feed the cats. I'm surprised. I'm surprised they're not in here meowing at me. But, all right, thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thank you to subscribers. Thank you to my members, all of the new members. Also, thank you to Ida, who is the most cutest kitten ever because she's our cat. The feral chat now has a feral... Well, she's not feral, but you get my drift. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. So everybody go do whatever it is that you do after these lives and have a good night. And I'll see everybody... I'm going to see the members before I see everybody else. So we'll do a members live Tuesday. I'm going to try to stick to Tuesday. But okay. Bye, everybody.